Remaining inward, let's listen to these words from Swami Kriyananda from our affirmation for self-healing. This week is moral vigor. Lack of moral vigor saps the will and makes the intellect sponge-like, ready to absorb the prevalent opinion of the times. People with good intellects often suffer from the Hamlet complex, the inability to come to any decision or to commit oneself to anything. They justify their indecision by saying, I want to be fair to all sides. But even an imperfect action is better than no action at all. When you believe in something, stand by it. When you believe in someone, stand by them. Such loyal self-commitment is a higher law than seeing all sides. Energy is needed to accomplish anything in life. With moral vigor, all things are possible, but without it, the end of every act is failure. We'll practice this affirmation together now. First, loudly. You can repeat after me. The decisions that I make in life.
The decisions that I make in life.
Come from within myself.
Come from within myself.
From my sense for what is right.
From my sense for what is right.
I am committed to the truth.
I am committed to the truth.
And channeling it outward.
And channeling it outward.
To the world.
To the world.
And now in a more soft speaking voice. The decisions that I make in life.
The decisions that I make in life.
Come from within myself.
Come from within myself.
From my sense for what is right.
From my sense for what is right.
I am committed to the truth.
I am committed to the truth.
And to channeling it outward.
And to channeling it outward.
To the world.
To the world.
And now in a whisper, we'll activate our subconscious mind, still with all that concentration and strength behind each word. The decisions that I make in life.
The decisions that I make in life.
Come from within myself.
Come from within myself.
From my sense for what is right.
My sense is right.
I am committed to the truth.
I am committed to the truth.
And channeling it outward.
And channeling it out.
To the world. And now silently, super consciously, feel each word at the point between the eyebrows, repeating silently, inwardly. The decisions that I make in life come from within myself, from my sense for what is right. I am committed to the truth and to channeling it outward to the world. And now we'll feel this prayer in our hearts. Divine Mother, with every action of my will, let me express thy divine vitality, thy truth, thy perfection. Let me live to serve thee alone, or else die in the attempt. And we'll have now our reading. This is from the weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita. It's a book called Rays of the One Light. It's from Swami Kriyananda. And this week is the promise of the scriptures. Just checking. Yes?
Yes.
Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 15, we read the famous parable of the prodigal son. Jesus tells of the man who took the wealth bestowed on him by his father and squandered it in foreign lands where he fell into evil ways. At last, repentant, he returned to his father's home. When his father saw him, he was, Jesus tells us, moved with compassion, and ran and fell upon his neck and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. I am no longer worthy to be called thy son. But the father said to his servants, Fetch quickly the best robe and put it on him, and give him a ring for his finger, and sandals for his feet. And bring out the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and make merry. Because this my son was dead, and has come to life again. He was lost, and is found. And they began to make merry. Small-hearted human beings, identified as they are with their little egos, give exaggerated importance to any slight they receive from others. Thus, they imagine God, like them, to be petty, unpardoning, and vindictive. In God's eyes, however, all of us are aspects of his own very self. He who made us resides in us. He is not far away from us in some far-off heaven. His call to us always is to return to our own home within. The way of return is described in the Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter. Supreme blessedness is that yogi's who has completely calmed his mind, controlled his, purged. God has spoken to mankind. Om.
What a joy to have everyone here, and
No, just kidding.
looking at, I think it's even nicer looking at it from, like we're breaking up a little bit.
It's probably the heat.
Just let us know if it keeps going. We'll switch it over.
Oh, Gigi, can you go off your video? It's because we're on the same Wi-Fi. Yeah, sorry, dear mommy.
What a joy to have every individual here. It's just incredible. And I think it's really nice on Zoom to see everybody individually and sort of turning up and being in their own space and being on their own journey. It's an incredible thing. And it reminds me of why Swami says that Ananda communities are so successful. And it is the respect that everybody is on their own journey and nobody is perfect. So it's the knowing that, but it's about a group of people coming together, knowing that everybody's on their own journey. Nobody is perfect, but we can support each other on this journey to find God. That's why we're all here, really, isn't it? And to find that freedom to get away from we've all kind of got to a point in our lives, haven't we? And said, we've had enough. Why are, there's got to be more. I've tried finding joy in this way and that way and doing all these things. So it's just, it's a beautiful image to see this on Zoom. We had an interesting, I found it interesting this morning. We'd taken Olive, our dog, our little Labrador, for a walk. She's a Labrador. I'm mindful to even golden retriever or retriever of that brand. She's not quite that retriever yet. I think she's working towards it. She often goes and fetches, but doesn't retrieve them. So she's learning her little journey and she's got her own little individual thing, but it's quite funny to watch. We'll throw a ball and she'll just go and get it and then just drop it and then expect us to, she has to have 3 or 4 balls going at once to keep it going. Anyway, on the way back, we went past, it looked like a soccer training, and it reminded me of, this little story of a team sport and how a coach has to be always thinking in different ways and looking at it. So here we turned up and there was all these soccer players, or football, depending on where you are in the world, who were turning up, and they were all different sizes, different shapes, different outfits. It was just wonderful to see. And everyone obviously had this passion, and the coaches were in there early doing it. And it reminded me of this story of a coach that had 4 players turn up and they all threw up, as in they all vomited. And each one had a different outcome. And the 3 different players, or the 4 different players involved, one was the captain of the team and was a really, 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 really good player. Like, he was the key to a lot of winning, and he was very successful. The second one wasn't the best player, but he had motivation. He knew how to motivate the team. So he would get in there and he, on this team, he was always the one in there cheering people up and getting everyone going. The third player was, really a tryer. He just started. He was new to the sport, but really, really tried. And then the fourth player was a player that was individually a good player. He had all the skills and wanted, he just wasn't quite there from a team player. So each one of them had turned up and had thrown up. And so the coach sent one player home, and I'm wondering which one that would have been and for what reason. So each one had their own reason. The player that he sent home was actually the individual, but he'd thrown up because he had a vomiting bug. And he sent him home because it was a very selfish act. It was a team sport. They were all grouping together, and he decided to show up even though he was unwell. So the coach, out of love, sent him home because that's where he should be, but also to show that player that this is a team sport. Like, do you really want to bring your illness and share it with everyone else? The third player, he boosted. He actually said, "Oh, you're doing fantastic. I really need you to step up today. You're doing such a good job. We're going to put you in this position throughout that." And this was a player that threw up because he was a genuinely nervous person. He just threw up every time he got nervous. He was very hard on himself, and he worked himself into a tether, so much so that he threw up. The third player was sent around the oval running and had to do extra exercises and calisthenics and a whole bunch of things, and was reprimanded in front of everyone. He happened to be the captain. He happened to be the best player. The coach actually knew that this player had been out the night before and had a few drinks and had partied with his friends and had turned up. And then the last player, finally, he said, "Oh, I really want you to help me today with the skills that we're all going to learn and be here. I want you to be one of the leaders involved." And that was the player that was the motivator. He wasn't the best player, but he'd worked out that his mother had actually been sick, and he'd spent all night nurturing his mother and was dead tired by the time he'd got to training in the morning, but he didn't want to let the team down. So as you can see in life, we all have these individual traits that make up a team play. And every one of these has a specific outcome or a result in this. And lots of people, in relation to God and speaking about God, often say, "Oh, how can God be so cruel?" But if you think about God as being the ultimate coach, or trying to put every one of our players together, everyone has their little lessons to learn and everyone has to grow. And it's so interesting. One of the stories that I actually love from Autobiography of a Yogi is when Lahiri was at a Kumbh Mela and was judging somebody, a beggar, I think it was, or a renunciate or something. And it turned out that there was someone washing and the feet of this, and it turned out to be Babaji. He recognized him as being Babaji, and Babaji said, "I'm going to wash, and then after I finish doing that, I'm going to clean this person's, and it's two ways. A, not to be judgmental. I think there was a lesson there that Babaji was trying to teach Lahiri, but the other one was that we're all on our own journey and we all deserve unconditional love. And we've got to recognize that, you know, everything that we do is on this path, and every single one of us have an option to see that journey and see that path. And I love today's affirmation about moral vigor and how, you know, basically it's, you know, being decisive and doing what we can feel and go inward, you know, that right or that up and down path and choosing the higher path. But it's better than that no action. And Davey talks about no action. There is no such thing really. We're either going up or down, and that we have to choose that right or moral path along the way. And so, you know, if we go back to those soccer players that were turning up, every single one of them individually turned up. Every single one of them individually had something to work on and improve on. And, you know, you look at everyone and you hear the story from Swami, and a lot of people talk about it. You know, if you had someone that was a monk and really highly evolved turn around and say, I'm going to throw everything away and become a millionaire, how that would be seen differently to the person that had kicked around, not achieved anything in life, that cleaned themselves up and decided to become a millionaire by putting all their energy and effort into whatever it was. Everyone has their own journey in this life. That's why we were given free will, and we have to use that free will to achieve and better ourselves in every single moment. And that's a part of this journey. We've been given so many great stories. We've been given so many great tools. We talked, you know, about last week about how, you know, when we do actually communicate or talk with God, that we need to clear and set ourselves centered and get ourselves and clear the fog or the shade away from it and allow that light to shine to have a, you know, communication. But likewise on this path, we have to nurture ourselves and be on this journey. We have to be able to move forward, always moving forward, regardless of what we do, how we behave, because, you know, just getting inwardly angry over something might be a someone that has to learn in this lifetime, as opposed to someone that has to learn compassion or whatever it is along this path. So we've all individually got our own little prayer. We've all got our own little journey. We've all got our way of becoming a player in this lifetime that we're here to return back and unite with the infinite. So I think it's a wonderful lesson in life that God is always there. God is always going to receive us with open arms. And we know by the law of karma, the fact that we want to find God, we have to get there, but we also have to put the energy. We also have to use this free will to want to get there and not sit on the fence, make a decisive energy and effort to do that.
I have a fun thought to go off of your beautiful analogy of this week's lesson, which is that God is the coach and God is also the cheerleader. Because if you notice in that story, what was the father doing? He was celebrating. And so we often feel like God is the coach, like teaching us discipline and helping us have better habits, but he was a nurturing coach. He had all those beautiful qualities. But don't forget, God is also the cheerleader on the sides going, yes, you meditated today. Yes, you came to service with everybody. Yes, you were nice to that person. Yes, you were patient that time you didn't want to be. And it's like a really nice way to think of God, especially now when there's a tendency right now in the world to be a bit more critical, be a bit more judgmental. Why didn't they do the right thing? Again, they did the wrong thing. But instead, we could be like, yay, they're trying. Yay, let's empower everybody that is, you know, choosing the light right now. Yay, let's strengthen each other where we can. Because right now, you know, just like when we saw you all here this morning, we haven't had that many people at our Sunday meditation ever. That was amazing. I mean, except for retreats in person. of course, when we saw everyone, we went, this is great, because we're here to support one another. And I think that's the beautiful thing about spiritual family, that you see these devotees that have been a part of the path together. Oh, are they the best cheerleaders for each other or what? They have been through so many trials, and that's part of what happens when you come together as a group again and again. You start developing these compassionate friendships that are about length, they're about longevity. And there's a really, we know that quote from Yogananda that a saint is a sinner who never gave up. And that's really powerful in itself. But there's another visual that Yogananda gave the devotees, which is that you look at a devotee like Yanamata or Rajasi Janakananda, who he considered his foremost disciples. What does that mean? He said they were completely, with all of their energy, committed and concentrated on the goal. And when a test from God would come to them through the guru, they may fall. He said, but they were the first to get back up and keep running and help others who fell get back up and keep running. So it's not just that we're doing it alone. We have each other. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but I had to be, oh, come on, Nara, let's go. But that's the thing, is when one of us is tired and struggling a bit, like, we all come together and give each other energy to keep that longevity. And because this is a marathon and it's an endurance, there's a really beautiful chant. It's called Saint Teresa's Admonition. I think I pronounced that properly, but it's, let nothing disturb you, let nothing affect you. All things will pass, but God changes not. Patient endurance brings us to victory. Once you have God, you'll want nothing more. And that's the other bit of wisdom that we're given, is it's hard at first. The spiritual path is a challenge because we're changing our brain, we're changing our habits. But once the magnetism in our being becomes strong enough, Yogananda said, it becomes effortlessly easy, because at that point, the joy that you feel when you choose the light, when you choose the upward flow, it's so strong that nothing really can touch you anymore, even when the challenges come. And so that's the goal, is, well, what happens once we get to a place where we're okay, where we feel like we can be the cheerleader and we can help nurture each other. Well, we want to keep that momentum going, because it feels so wonderful to be like that father and help another person feel the same experience of the divine. And when we go out into the world, just for a moment, if you all just can visualize someone who's like your bestie, your friend, it could be a pet, it could be a person, it could be a flower, it could be something, an experience with ocean or Mother Nature, and just feel what that really feels like when you see that being, when you feel an interaction of reciprocity where you want to give to that person, you want to then also receive from that person, you want to experience sharing joy through stories, through memories, creating memories together. But aren't we all kind of a little happy when we see that friend? We feel a touch of that joy. We feel a touch of that lightness. And there's a sense of, oh, I'm with my friend. Oh, isn't it wonderful? I'm finally on a wave. Oh, it feels so free. Oh, I'm finally with this little rose. I got to say good morning to the beautiful rose, and oh, how it's blossomed. And we just enjoy that. But what we want to do as souls on a path, which is so needed right now, is we want to be a channel for that with all beings. That's what the Samadhi consciousness or Christ consciousness is. It's when we take an experience so precious as divine friendship, and then we expand that out. And so one thing that Swamiji was known for, and when he left this world, people said it was like, I lost my best friend. But what he did was he took his divine friendship vibration between him and Guruji, and he expressed that with all of us. So when we go out and we're in line at a store, or we're having a register, cash register experience, when we're in a line, when we're going out for a walk, when you have those moments where there's maybe a feeling like you should smile at someone or you want to say something nice, that's God, that's Guruji in you expressing divine friendship through you. And it's something that Swamiji said we can all do is vibrate peace, vibrate divine friendship, vibrate kindness. And one of the things we've noticed is people respond as receptive as they are. And you can feel it. You can say, oh, they're enjoying this interaction. Let's expand upon it. Let's keep it going and uplifting them from wherever they're at, helping them a bit more. Being that cheerleader for another human, because it's easier to do it sometimes with strangers. And then we want to also do it at home. We want to also practice it with one another and all of the people closest to us that we're actually in our life more because of the lessons we're here to learn with each other. But the more we practice it, the more we can be somebody on this planet who's recharging themselves with this light. And then it's creating a ripple effect. There's been study after study now that if you're kind in public, like somebody sees you hold a door or on the elevator or something and you do something nice, it is actually more likely that another person who saw it will then go do another act of kindness. So they've actually proven that kindness is contagious, just like anger can be, or all the bad stuff we don't want to be, spreading around. So the more expressions of compassion and non-judgment, but rather acceptance of one another on these moral grounds, as Swamiji said, you feel in your heart what's the right thing to do, what's dharmic. But then expressing that, being a channel for that, it's what the world really needs, is more people who, I was trying to think the other day, what's something that we all can agree upon? It's like when you see a little group of beautiful little kids that don't have ego yet, and you just want the best for them, and you're like, I just want them to grow up happy. I just want them to have a good earth to live upon. It's like whatever that bit of humanity is that connects us, that you can expand upon with another being. Make that your goal for this week, is let's be all of us together, divine friendship, going out into this world and expressing that and being little cheerleaders of master, really, of Yoganandaji, and sharing that on this planet, because there's enough, criticisms and negativities going around. Let's offer something higher and more of the light. As we mentioned last week, Babaji said, I am not here to wipe out the darkness. I am here to strengthen the light. And every time that we choose the light, it magnetizes us so that we attract more light. But also, every time we say, God, please help, Divine Mother, please help, Guruji, please help, saints of all religions, help, friends, help, somebody's going to pick you up. Someone's going to say, okay, here we go. And they're going to bring you along and they're going to help you. And there's this just promise of Yogananda. I will come and I'll bring every stray brother away from that shadow, away from that place of hate and anger and criticalness or negativity. I'm going to bring you to the light. I'm going to help you cross this river, this ocean of delusion, so that you all can experience this samadhi consciousness where we are one being, one breath, one Om. We're all this vibration of light. And we're back at our place of origin where we can sense true compassion from a place of complete acceptance and understanding of each soul's journey, as Nara said, and of this love for one another. So we'll have a beautiful song now to help us take this more deeply. It's the Divine Mother song.